Good afternoon, good afternoon. How everyone doing? I hope you had a great weekend. Yes, it looks like summer is finally here, and the weather is nice and bright, and the barbecue grills are out, and everybody's beginning to enjoy. And parties have begun to be held all over the place. So I hope you are being safe and you're able to get out and enjoy this weekend. Today we have a great show in stock for you. We have an announcement that we would bring your way later in the show. But as usual, I am yours truly, Steve from the studios of Echo here in Chicago. And we have our co-host in the Washington area that we'll be going to very shortly. And yeah, I know we'll be out to say, we'll be out here. Yami, I doom or the and so I tell you. And where done is say I start to say a yeah nice what US Hanuman. I hope that the dear Yana would to me and your fine a BBR would to me a deal when it can. So yeah, Daniel saw the end. So am I and then a nkɔmɔ ɛwɔ fie ha no madam for binesa and a out kind of say nkɔmɔ ɛwɔ fie ha no papa it's a COVID in summer elkosi still as saying and say most of the cities and as states now are starting relaxing yeah restrictions and as protocols now. And so yeah, Dr. Ofori, Dr. Obinfor, Dr. Edward Ofori, Baba Kaya Hone, di ho nkɔmmɔ kakra na nneɛma nketenkete a some of the weeks atwa mu nyinaa na yɛbɛbɔ so n'anim yɛwɔ announcement ketewa bi ama mo nso yɛde saa nkabɔ no ɛbɛbɔ twere na masese mu abɛka yɛ ho sɛ na ɛtie biara no share link yi ma yɛ mo share link no ma yɛ Bidin ɛde mu nua Steve dɛ ɛwɔ Chicago ɛna ɛnkyɛ biara yɛbɛkɔ Washington ne akɔkɔfa yɛnua Alfred and so no about the kind of one am I getting. But you can share link in my why I'm up here and you be on the must break. You are in the of your thing, what done motion I can kill on your shy can of your no feed this week in then of your not no a day no fine humble care or Unyanya mellow. Kufe and what you want I can make you many what yeah as I feel no work back a chon they can COVID side and when I can stay but blah a point a COVID restrictions relax money a point with Jenny shaggy name of your mon shaggy me can need a war one than you want shake mafia mo yo jogwashi wata wobi ake bonini bi yale ne wala ke hila gunyo wa di enje bonini bi yale ne ehin ake wo fe wo ba fe ni ne lo wo bu ma se don lo teten no wo ye onye mi no ni ji Dr. Ofori ko ba gba isane wo nye sha link ko ni ke Dr. Ofori ba ko ni ko no yo bi mo wa nyo bi ko ni wo pe no ni ya ye you are done ye you are done no bi akpena mi ba egba ha mi ga ba pere mi anwo mi awo na ya ekpa bobo na kata kude COVID ba planya de ka lo va do me mi enye nkwenye for Steve la Chicago ka matro ma yide Washington na mi akro ya no via mi do wizon na mi no via mi afoka Africa mus hale apagama alo apagava to Washington DC na wa amagama gawe badumema na ya ando wizon na mi no via na ha na nyare ka lo vare akalashia na Ghana Mashapalo Marco, let me come la Facebook share me have a link and then Stephen Alfred show first Facebook me or Steve Facebook Alfred Facebook Ghana agenda. I feel a share the coming come look can be share link now me where Dr. Gava to feel like my Washington Africa and America. Yeah, forgot Alfred moves. So let's go to the Washington studios to welcome my industrious, hardworking, infatigable Alfred Amuzu.
Steve, my former fall, okay, you have your fall at Chicago. Acho Mokbo. The newest doctor, Dr. Eunice Cromwell, party. I don't know what you. So, my opportunity to congratulate Dr. Eunice Cromwell for earning her PhD as well and celebrating yesterday in the city of Chicago, for which, Steve, you were prominently featured. So, like you said, Steve, today we will be talking to our own brother, in-house expert on all COVID-related issues to kind of give us some guidance on some of the things we are hearing, some of the directives that we heard from the CDC in terms of whether we keep our masks on, when is the safest time to actually remove your mask and mingle. I've seen, a lot of parties now being organized. Like you said, you were one yesterday, and I was here. So jealous of you. So we'll look at that, and I also had a great week. Actually, it was my birthday week. And we celebrated on Wednesday, and the celebrations went through the entire week. Matter of fact, we did some barbecues, but we kept it in house. We didn't invite friends or anything like that. But hopefully next year would be different, and we'll be inviting you, all our viewers, to come to the Washington D.C. area and celebrate with me. But also, I had the opportunity to attend a funeral of a dear friend this weekend, which is funeral for Mrs. Irene Blay, a friend of mine who we attended University of Cape Coast together's mother, who just passed away. Today is another sad day. We also lost my mentor's father, Reverend Amor. And I'm talking about Dr. Amor now. He lost his father a week ago. He just notified me, and we are remembering the father or we are giving that 1 week remembrance to the dad. And we pray that his soul will rest in peace. But today is going to be a very good conversation, and I can't wait to have Dr. Ofori join us to educate us on ways to actually go around the current mandate or the current directive, which requires that we relax our masks. How are things happening in other countries? Ghana, how is the vaccination process going? Are people getting vaccinated? Doctor will be telling us about all that. So, Steve, I wouldn't want to give all the secrets. I will wait for Doctor to join us to help us navigate the issues we table for discussion today. So I'm going to pass it back to you in our studios in Chicago to continue the conversation. So, Steve, over to you.
Thank you so much, Alfred. Yeah, so that is so true. And also, on behalf of this show, it looked like we should have celebrated the birthdays together last week, Monday, but we waited. You were silent about it and decided to just bring it on us on Wednesday. So, on behalf of the show, let me wish you a very happy birthday. And it is fun being born in May, and it is great celebrating a birthday almost 2 days apart. Who would have thought that? So happy birthday, bro. We really appreciate you, everything that you do for the community around the US. You are so resourceful, and you give you give just so much of yourself to the community. You here, you there, you just about everywhere that I can think about. And we so appreciative of you, and may God continue to bless you to be of service to the community, not forgetting to your family first. So I'm glad that you took time to just enjoy the day or the weekend with family at home. And hopefully we can all join together in our next year, as you indicated.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward for joint birthday events next year. Or
it'll be grand, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So today we are expecting to get to have Dr. Ofori to join us very shortly. But in the meantime, you are watching Steve and Alfred show. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, as you know, summer is around the corner. There's so many events happening, and we have an event happening this weekend by the Sienna family. Sienna is hosting. I'll say its first event in this summer. There is more to come this year, but in the let's say the first of the series of programs that Sienna is going to engage on is coming on this Saturday rather, which is a health forum and a topic night. So we're expecting everyone to join. But let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll go back to Washington for Alfred's weekly app. You are watching Steve and Alfred show from Ofori Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad. We'll be right back after the show.
Sienna, Sienna, Sienna. Sienna, in collaboration with the Sienna nurses and allied workers, presents a virtual Sienna Health Forum on the topic Surviving the COVID-19 Vaccine. This will be held on the 29th of May 2021 at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Venue is virtual. On the panel are Prince Hodogbe, Dr. Prisla Seshi, Prosper Seshi, Grace Agbo, Alice Nyamadi Anan, Empress Yasmin Ahiambla Doche, Ninette Ajimahe, and Ruben Hajide. Your hosts are the prominent Steve Day and Alfred Amuzu. The Zoom link ID is 757-434-4700 and the passcode is 4782. Sienna, move forward with the socio-economic development of the land.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
Welcome back to Steve and Alfred show on Echo Radio, number one station for Africans living abroad. Let's quickly go to the Washington studio for Alfred's weekly update. I'm sure he has some juicy stuff for us this week. So let's quickly go to Alfred at the Washington studio for his weekly update.
Absolutely, Steve-O. This has been a really busy week for Ghana. Let me see. Okay, you can see me now. Yeah, so Steve, it's been a really busy week for Ghana. Maybe my camera is frozen. What is going on? Okay. So for some reason, my camera is frozen. So take it away. Let me fix my camera and we'll be right back.
Okay. All right, so since while Alfred is having some technical issues fixing his camera, he'll be right back with his weekly updates. But this week, and a lot is been happening in the city of Chicago and just around the US and just about everywhere. I'm sure Alfred is going to brief us a little bit about what is happening in Ghana. But one of the things that I saw when I was in downtown Chicago this week was the city was swimming with people all over the place and no mass restrictions. People are out and about enjoying themselves. And one tend to wonder, how safe are we? But I know we have Dr. Ofori today to talk to us about it. But let's quickly go back to Alfred for his weekly update.
Yeah, Steve. So that is the main concern. People are around and about and enjoying themselves. So I'm really looking forward to what our brother Dr. Ofori would have for us when he joins us. But before then, this week or the last week has been very busy for Ghana. So we know our president Nana Akufo-Addo has embarked on a 9 days tour of Europe, and the first stop on the leg of his trip was actually in France, where he attended a summit organized by the French president Emmanuel Macron. The summit was actually to propose a new deal for African countries. So again, the French government, or the president of France, had decided to gather the African countries and propose a new economic deal for those African countries. Remember, we have about 54 countries in Africa, but only 18 of them actually attended, including Ghana. Part of the deal is saying that they are expecting, or they are asking the International Monetary Fund to release about 650 billion in special drawing rights. So special drawing right is sort of like a combination of some of the major currencies in the world that form the basis of how the International Monetary Fund lends money to other countries. And the amount of special drawing rights assigned to a country determines how much that country is able to borrow from the International Monetary Fund. Now, out of the 650 billion that is supposed, or that is being asked to be released by the International Monetary Fund, Africa will benefit from about 33 billion, which is, not any significant. So out of 650 billion, Africa would only benefit from about 33 billion. So the other continents, of course, the major powers would be the ones to benefit the most. And even if you recall, during the coronavirus pandemic, that the stimulus that were extended to citizens of the major economic countries were huge. If you recall, the US did over several trillions of stimulus to its economy. Now, why is France actually the country proposing this new deal to Africa? And I was kind of comparing on other shows. I was comparing France's economy, or the nature of France's economy with, for instance, that of Ghana. And it was shocking to know that France debt to GDP, in other words, if you look at all the debts France has and compare it to their GDP, as of now, they are carrying about 113% of debt to GDP. Let me repeat, 113% of debt to GDP, which means France is hyper indebted. It's a hyper indebted country compared to Ghana. In Ghana, our debt to GDP, which we complain about a lot, I've been on this show and other shows, and I've made so much noise about the fact that we are indebted, we have so much debt, but our debt to GDP is in fact 76% of GDP, or our debt is 75% of our GDP, significantly lesser than that of France. But there is a difference. The fact that France has a debt to GDP ratio of 130% doesn't mean Ghana's economy is better than France. France's economy is able to generate tax revenue, all right, tax revenue, which will equal to about 48% of GDP on an annual basis. What that means is If France were to just collect only their tax revenues and decide to not, spend any of their tax revenues, but use those revenues to pay off their debts, it should take them anywhere between 2.5 to 3 years for them to clear off their entire debts. But Ghana's tax revenue, which is our main revenue bucket, contributes about only 12% of our GDP. So if we were to want to pay our debts, you can imagine that it's going to take more than 6 to 7 years for us to clear all the debts that we currently hold on our books. So that is a major difference. We call it fiscal space. So France has fiscal space to actually take advantage of whatever SDR or special drawing rights that the International Monetary Fund was being asked to release. But Ghana, we don't have enough fiscal space. In other words, we are not able to generate enough money from our tax revenue to quickly take care of our debts should that be needed. And this is why you will hear politicians and economics talk about increasing the tax base and widening, the number of people and, participating and contributing to the development of our country. So we get to rely mostly on debt, loans, etc., and aid to actually grow our economy. And we need to win ourselves out of that so that we can compete with the likes of France and other European countries. So 18 countries attended this summit. And you can imagine, out of 54, just 18. And, we are yet to see, where this whole summit and this whole New Deal thing would take our country and other African countries who are participating. I think the real reason is that France is very worried. France's economy depends heavily on African countries. I mean, there are so many videos that made the rounds that talks about how, the French or the administration of France still requires African countries to actually hold their deposits in France, etc., that they can't even loan from those deposits, that if they loan from those deposits, France will charge them interest, etc., their own money that they will deposit with France, that France will charge them interest. So we know the role France plays in Africa. We know how France is dependent on Africa, but there is a new country on the block that is making waves in Africa. And I'm talking about no other country than China. China has gone into agreements with several different African countries where they are building roads and railways and are in turn being paid with resources of those countries. If you quite remember, in Ghana, we have a similar arrangement with China which we call the Sino-Hydro sort of arrangement, where China was going to build, several kilometers of road, and we were going to be paying them with bauxite. Some of this thing, I've even saw a video today, matter of fact, a news piece article today that says Sierra Leone sold their entire beach coastline, a whole big portion of their coastline, to China, and China was going to use that to build a commercial fishing ports in Sierra Leone. And the citizens of that country are currently agitating and not very happy with the deal. So both the United States and of course France are somewhat worried about the gains that China is making in Africa, and so they are making all kinds of maneuvers to make sure they secure their position in Africa. Now, also, Emmanuel Macron is actually about to go through a re-election this year, and so you can see that he's desperate to show progress or to show some work, have convinced his people that he's actually serving them well by organizing this type of summits and bringing his boys, mostly 70-year-old presidents, and lecturing them on how to grow their economies, when in his country, it's about 130% in debt, or its debt is about 130% of his GDP. Now, bear in mind, France's tax systems is broader based. They collect about 48% of their GDP just through their tax revenue. So that is good for them. They can carry 130% of debt. So our president left France. Nana Akufo-Addo, when he left France, he stopped in Belgium. And at Belgium, he kind of negotiated with the European Investment Bank to secure a loan of 170 million euros towards a bank that we are trying to initiate in Ghana. And The bank I'm talking about is going to be called Development Bank Ghana. You would ask, what is Development Bank Ghana? Development Bank Ghana will be a bank that is established to provide loans to other banks like commercial bank, agri bank, all the other banks, so that they can onward lend to small micro enterprises. Currently in Ghana, the average loan that a person can get in Ghana only goes up to 2 years or 3 years. You don't get the long-term loans. Businesses have to make long-term strategic decisions and investments in order to actually grow, hire more people, and industrialize. But without the financial backing, without a financial mechanism or system to support long-term planning, it becomes difficult. In the United States, if you're a business and you are viable and you're able to show that, you are qualified to obtain a loan, you can get anything you want. You can get loans for 10 years. You can get even beyond 10 years. You can sell bonds. You can find all kinds of ways to raise capital. That is not in Ghana. Even regardless of how brilliant the business idea is, you have to scrap on your own. And even the requirements to get loan in Ghana is so stringent. For you to get a loan, the banks are requiring that you bring 200% of the value of the loan as collateral. So let me take that again. So if I were interested in getting a loan of, let's say, about $100,000, I have to pose a collateral worth $200,000. So you ask the question, if I have a collateral worth $200,000, why would I even be interested in going for a loan worth $100,000? So it's just tough to get a loan. You either have to be a subsidiary of an international business to get a loan, or you have to know somebody in the bank. So it's definitely tough to be a business in Ghana, and so the need for development bank is there. Now, you would think that we would have thought of this development bank before we embark on the revitalization, the 1D, 1F programs, and economic, development, agenda that this government wants to embark on. It is 5 years in administration, and we are now thinking of the things or the ingredients that would have actually supported a takeoff of industrialization in Ghana. Now, let me go back to what we've done in the past. It's not a new thing for us to start a development bank. Development bank has been with us since 1960s. Kwame Nkrumah, in his wisdom, thought, in order to develop Ghana properly, that we needed a development bank. So we morphed one of the Gold Coast financial institutions that we had those days into what we referred to then as the National Investment Bank, to just serve the purpose of development bank like the one we went and got a loan from. We went to the European Investment Bank to get a loan to support ours. We also have National Investment Bank, which was started in the 60s as a development bank with the sole purpose of extending credits to, small, medium enterprises, or even, big companies like the Valcos, the Alum Works, and the Cal Bex, etc., etc. Now, somewhere along the line, this bank failed. Even the National Investment Bank that we had, at some point in its history, a department of that bank, which was strictly dedicated to agriculture and agro-processing businesses, was carved out and rebranded, renamed the Agri-Development Bank. So Agri-Development Bank is a development bank. National Investment Bank is a development bank. And these two banks, including even the Exim Bank, which was later on formed by an act of parliament, these three banks are development banks and currently are not, following the mandate for which they were formed. They've all shifted to commercial activities. In other words, taking deposits from citizens and, remaining profitable that way. Why was that shift necessary? Why did they shift from their core mandate to what they currently do, which is commercial lending or commercial banking? And we need to interrogate that. And so if we formed these banks in the past and then they changed to now doing strictly commercial, what is the guarantee that the new bank that we're about to start will not also shift in the future? Why wouldn't we go to the people who did it before and ask these questions before we start a new one? I hope the government is doing so, but the government is saying that the current structure of, let's say, NIB or Agri Development Bank is such that they are widespread across the country, have branches all over the place, and have employees. And refocusing them to just strictly do development banking and not do deposit taking and the type of commercial activities they are involved in now will mean that the government will have to close all the branches that they have across the country. And I disagree with that, and here's why. I feel like nobody's saying that the government should go and just in one day switch Agri Development Bank from doing commercial lending to now practicing strictly as a development bank. We are saying that, yes, refocus them on what they were formed for, their core mandate, so that they can lend to these agro businesses, but gradually win them off the commercial lending. In other words, get some other banks who may be interested in taking over their, assets in various, areas of the country, like all the branches they have other banks who may be interested. Because if you remove an agri development bank from, let's say, Navrongo, my theory is that the people of Navrongo will still need banking services anyway. So why wouldn't you let commercial bank, if they're interested, acquire that property, keep the employees, and continue to support those communities? So there are so many different ways that the government can go about this, taking into consideration the lessons learned from the banks that have tried this approach and failed, so that we are not necessarily investing in formulating a new bank completely, because the cost of getting the consultants and advisors to help us institute a new bank on its own is going to be huge, and all this will just add to our debt. So we hope that the $500 million that has been raised so far towards this purpose is channeled towards the current infrastructure, the current system we have, which is the NIB and the ADB and the Exim Bank, and find a way to repurpose them to deliver the services for which they were initially put together. So that is my update on the banking issue. There are other issues that happened within the week, for instance, like the Electoral Commission met with IPAC, which is the Inter-Party Advisory Committee. And this committee is there to kind of advise the Electoral Commission on ways that to run the elections and administer the EC itself. And they came out with proposals for some of the things that went wrong, some of the achievements they've had over the years, and proposals for going forward how elections should be administered in Ghana. Two key proposals. One is that they are trying to shorten the time for voting from, of course, if you remember, Ghana, when we do elections in Ghana, we start at 7 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. But they're trying to now shorten it from 7 p.m. to 3 p.m. And the reason is that they want to be able to collate results quickly enough before the sun falls or before it becomes dark, because when it gets dark, that they find all kinds of problems during the coalition process. So they have a coalition problem, and as a result, they want to shorten the time it takes to actually vote. Okay, this is a proposal again that I don't necessarily think that it solves the problem, because if you have a coalition problem, think innovatively. Can you introduce technologies to expedite the coalition process? And can you introduce controls, processes, improve the way you do things right now? Initially, in 2020, we saw them introducing the Regional Coalition Center to deal with some of the problems, but we also noticed during the course process, some of the issues that came out of that. So we think that, the Electoral Commission should be a lot more strategic than that. I know the previous administration or the previous Electoral Commissioner actually had a strategic plan in place, but we are yet to see the current administration or the current commissioners also release a well-written, well thought out strategic plan that will guide how elections are conducted in Ghana. So we are, encouraging if any of you listening to us work in the Electoral Commission, that we are hoping that a strategic plan would be published as was done in the past. Also, all kinds of other things, news came from Ghana, such as the lady in charge of school feeding in Ghana, Madam Gertrude Koshiga, who, if you recall, was the wife of the former Minister of Health, Courage Koshiga, and the Kufuor administration. Miss Gertrude, in fact, was contracted by the Kufuor administration to cater for the presidency. So, if you go to the presidency and you ate some good meal those days, please say your thanks to Ms. Gertrude. Ms. Gertrude won another contract under this administration, which allowed her to be in charge of school feeding across the country. A few things came up when you look at the corruption risk assessment that was done by CDA, which I discussed last week. Her name came up as, one of the people who received contracts to feed the areas that were locked down during the pandemic, those 3 weeks that, Accra and Kumasi were locked down. And we saw the quality of food that came out, the fact that some of those contracts were not tendered and some of the companies that took those contracts were not registered. So her name came up. And all of a sudden, we heard that she was fired by the Minister for Gender, which is Safo. Adjoa Safo, released a communique that, she was fired. And within 48 hours, another, communique came out and said, oh, by the way, her firing was just an administrative error. And we are hearing things in the background. Of course, Kevin Taylor is not going to be quiet on this. And he came out to say that it is because Miss Gertrude had, promised to release some secrets or, divulge some corrupt activities that perhaps this government has engaged in, and that triggered the reinstatement of her. Even I was worried because I'm like, look at Adjoa Safo and the stature of Gertrude in the party. Gertrude's husband, has been a big person in the MPP, and all of a sudden, she's getting fired. I didn't see that holding for long. So, so many of these are things that we'll continue to monitor and bring to you on a week-by-week basis. So, Steve, I'm going to stop here. I had a few other things that I wanted to talk about in the U.S., but while we talk about the pandemic, I will bring the vaccine diplomacy issues and how the United States is likely to approach that. We know Russia is heavily involved in vaccine diplomacy. China is also doing the same. China is about to be sending some vaccines to places like even Ghana. Russia is already sending Sputnik 5 to Ghana, which is supplementing the AstraZeneca vaccine that we are currently using in Ghana. So we'll see how the U.S. get engaged in that diplomacy. Of course, the U.S. wanted to make sure that its citizens are first vaccinated and whatever is left is sent across the world for distribution to other countries as well. So when Dr. Ofori comes, we'll scratch on that as well. So let me stop here and see if you have any questions or if we have any comments from our listeners and viewers.
All right, Sir Alfred. Thank you so much for that observation. And yeah, I think I'll do a video to Hanuma. We'll share another OTA. Yes, Stephen Alfred show from Echo Radio, the number one station for Africans living abroad. And I'm in Alfred, meeting the Steve, and I'm in Alfred, your Casa and the Alfred Amozu Okasa F. Washington studios, and I'm into the share Chicago. And also in summer, I also our Ghana and yeah. It be yes, right. I can say, your man paying to crime or African tour and basically be at the and so I'm France, I said the name France is France, France, dear, and themselves, your crockesia, friends, economy near sound and so on kind of not names or more crying or more depending on. Depending on one in France's story now in terms of African francophone countries story now and young one and can be a tray and I'll say being so I being so I quack penny a bank be your friends and Ghana Development Bank and somehow okay. And as no account so as some somewhere and some yes and somewhere titi will share Kwame Nkrumah so no mobile who buys and come be bisa no more and so and as say you buy your party your government or this is up another bank African Development, Ghana Development Bank, Ghana as a Development Bank of Ghana, and over the year. And so what na sa administration kroya na yabaya ye gu banks bebre. And say ya no be song so Ghana ye kwaye ni mana say ye kwaye jana ye connaissant. Somebody be somebody be heading kakra. And oka school feeding some pam. You get through the idea na eja ne asa say there be administrative error and whom some paper and say what do I feel I do feed to hanuma and some ya so and then come out with ya and say COVID and send me who send a paper praise say na yina yet me year marks any and I'm say yenya Dr. Ofori, Dr. Edward Ofori, about the kind who ain't cheap, about the kind who near Chincom. And so, dear, about your comments, we will be an obit me actual or a Facebook link, watch and now we'll share link and into your master, somebody mufiti. Atu hanuma more share and some mutie a yay. Yo, and of your Aquelo Marco Miss and Yaude and Yang Gadeka, afraid updates our ado. Eduardo kuna kwekwa wo go akunu hey mi afa tato yo de leke odu akulom do ed fulo yo nyali kata marako na bia la show cho afred ye fu ganga makata odu ana se de ogo na bia la show bia kwa marako na de de ni we have a Facebook link na Mia Apoducho. So let's go to the Facebook link and let's read some of the comments that have come in so far, Alfred, in your presentations. Let's see. I think earlier on we have one Olivia Babanao was checking in with us and say hi. We thank you so much, Olivia, for joining. I'm not quite sure where you're joining from, but it is a pleasure to have you online with us.
Olivia is from the Washington, D.C. area. Olivia, thanks for joining. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Please share the link so that others can also join. Thank you so much for watching the show.
Hi, so Moses, our good friend and brother, Moses Kwachi says, Kofi Amuzu, nice submission on the Development Bank of Ghana. So thank you for being with us. He used to be our extra oil producer, but it looked like he's so busy these days, so we don't often see him, but we're glad to have you on board with us. I know he has been so extremely busy, but he keeps up with the show and always commending us for a good show that we put up every day. So thank you so much, Alfred. Moses Kwachi. It says, Alfred, it says that that was a good submission. Then we have Vivian joining us from the New Jersey area, one of our favorites and fan who is always on board with us. Thank you for joining us from the New Jersey area. All right, so we have Samuel Darcy. Hello, Steve. Good to see you all. Briefing great news of Ghana. I don't know how great that news was, but well, if it sounds great to you, we appreciate your comment. Someone Darcy, thanks for joining us. He's also from the Calumet area in the Chicago area. So we thank him also joining us. So Alfred, first let's talk about France.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so France, we know France and the Francophone countries where a percentage of the their GDP is reserved in the Bank of France and is held in trust for them. But holding that in trust for them also means that France is in control of that fund. And when you want to use the fund, you have to go and borrow from them at an interest. That is your own income that's that they are holding in trust for you. Yet you have to borrow against it and pay an interest to them. And now you just made us understand how heavily indebted country they are. So after all this natural resources and all that they take from the Francophone countries, they are still heavily indebted. I mean, that is insane, right? And they turn around and they want to borrow us money.
Exactly. They turn around and try to tell us how they want to help us develop our economy, reduce our debts. And you ask yourself, I mean, if anybody's watching, just Google GDP, debt to GDP ratio for France, and you will see it. is 13 point something percent, or 113 point something percent. Even Steve, let's talk about USA. USA's debt to GDP as we stand today is about 102%. So all these other countries have more debt than we do, and so it is hard to take lectures from them, especially when we are the resource-rich countries that they depend on heavily to develop their countries. So somehow, I think it is about African leaders should sit down and think through how they want to relate with these countries going forward. I am so glad that only 18 countries actually attended this summit because, I don't think all the other 40 something countries that didn't go actually have any value for this. And I don't even see this thing going anywhere. I think it's a domestic political stand that Emmanuel Macron wanted to take and show to his people that he's doing something in the interest of France. That summit was not in the interest. I don't know any single African country that went to that summit. I don't know if they left with anything tangible that they're bringing to benefit Africans. So, some of these things we should try to avoid them, not spend so much money, put gas in our planes, fly our presidents to France to be lectured by Macron. Yeah, so I definitely, agree that we definitely shouldn't be taking, advice from people who are in more trouble than we are when it comes to debt.
Okay, but you see, I tend to, well, not necessarily disagree, but you see, it is the management of your economy. Yes, some of most of these developed countries are heavily indebted, but when you come to how they manage their debt to develop their country, we are not that heavily indebted. But all these loans that we contract, what do we use it for? What do we have to show for it? Why are we still considered a third world country? And you just said it, we are a resource rich continent. But why are we so so impoverished, and we still have to depend? And even when we depend on these advanced countries, and we depend on China to give us some loans and what have you, yes, so we are not able to put it to use so that we can turn our economy around so that we can become less dependent, and then we can be self-sufficient like other countries have demonstrated. A few countries, we have some good stories like in Rwanda and what have you, and Tanzania was kind of trending that way, but we don't know what will become now that the president is dead. And South Africa is also trending that way a little bit, but we don't know what will become of those economies. But those are some of the few shining examples in Africa that you can be proud of. But if one or two countries can do it, so what is stopping the other countries within the continent of Africa doing so?
And Steve, those countries you mentioned, Rwanda, Tanzania, what is the key difference between those countries and our country, or let's say Togo and Benin? What is the key difference? Leadership. Paul Kagame took Rwanda from a war-torn, you remember the story of Rwanda. In the 2000s, this was this country that was devastated with, factions fighting each other, and there was no peace. He took it from 2000, within about 10 to 15 years, to where they are today, where they are the fastest growing economy in Africa, almost, rubbing shoulder with big countries. I watch soccer and I see Visit Rwanda on the name of Arsenal jersey. so Rwanda is doing pretty well for a country that was devastated by internal fightings, and today they are leading Africa in so many metrics. That tells me that leadership, if you get good leadership like Magufuli in Tanzania, who unfortunately passed, with good leadership we can do it. Look at how much we lose each year to corruption. In Ghana, you get a contract, you have to pay 10% upfront. You finish the contract, you want to go and get your pay. The guy who is going to process your invoice, you have to give him some cut. Everywhere along the line, you have, and they do this, and it's normal. If you complain, it's like you are the one who's not normal. So we need some strong leader. Some leader to actually change our course. Otherwise, we'll keep going to places like France who have more debt than we do, and they'll be lecturing us on things that wouldn't even benefit us in any way. We've never seen the structural adjustment program they brought in 2000 and somewhere within the 1980s, which we Ghana adopted, and other countries have adopted to liberalize the economy. We didn't see any benefit from that. The structural adjustment, some may even say that is one of the reasons we are where we are today. They keep packaging this programs for us without thinking about the issues on the ground, or without making it a homegrown solution for Africa. Africa doesn't need solutions from France to progress. Africa needs homegrown solutions. Magufuli had a homegrown solution to the problems in Tanzania. Rwanda didn't go to US to say, US, give me an economic plan that I should grow with. Of course, they didn't need that. They needed to think about the issues they have themselves, the corruption problems they have, and find a way to stop it. Find a way to, seal all the loopholes that, we lose money through. Find a way to stop galamseys. Find a way to stop all the ways that, we bring loans to the country that we don't use for the purposes that we should be, or the purposes for which we are contracting those loans. Find a ways to prosecute people who break the law. Otherwise, if your judges are corrupt, if your law enforcement is corrupt, that's it. You've lost the plot. So without fixing those issues, we can go to all the summits we want on earth, and we can get all the loans we want on earth, and we'll still remain poor, because we get these loans, and what you see is politicians live in big mansions. They know they are not going to be prosecuted. We make all these noises that, politician A is corrupt, politicians B is corrupt. When we come into power, we'll prosecute them. We come into power and we don't see anything. We don't see any prosecution. We don't see anybody going to jail. What that tells me is that if I become a politician, yes, I can get away with murder. I can go literally murder somebody and get away, just like Trump would say. I can stand in Fifth Avenue, shoot somebody in the head, and get away with it. Like we've seen, in Ghana, where somebody shot, unfortunately, a journalist and has gotten away with it. I've seen new clips today that is pointing to a specific person, a member of parliament pointing to a specific person who is responsible for killing the journalist. So today, what kind of country is that? What country do you think in the United States here we would have a senator say he knows someone who, shot a journalist, and that person would be walking around? We had the US go after the journalist that was actually apparently killed overseas. Remember the Saudi Arabia, the whole Saudi Arabia government was investigated and embroiled in this scandal. And we in Ghana, we are witnessing journalists being brutalized every day, some even being killed. And years after years, the government just says they're doing investigations. Some of the security forces who are accused of participating in those atrocities just get moved around, and nobody hears anything until we solve these problems, until we have a high moral ground to stand on and lead this country. We would continue to go to France and get lectures from young men like Macron, who doesn't know what they are doing, but we'll have them advising old men, 70 to 80-year-old presidents that we send to actually move us out of our problems, to go and sit down for these young men to advise them, when we should actually be, thinking of homegrown solutions that will build our country.
Well, you can see that we've gotten on the Afresas. Yeah, you can see how excited he is to talk about some of these issues that are plaguing our country. And Rita Samako Fiajo Tevia says, "You are so true." He said, "It's so true, Alfred, all that you have said." We'd like to welcome the over 300 and something viewers that are joining us this afternoon. We'd like to welcome all of you to our show, and continue to go to our page and like our page while we're there as well. We appreciate you joining us from wherever you may be joining us from. And as we speak, our honorable host, is in a green studio, is in a green room. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we would, because if we want to stay on the subject, you can see Alfred is going to be worked out all day long. So once again, you are watching Stephen Alfred Show from Echo Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad. We're going to be talking about some of the announcements that are coming out about the COVID restrictions and how people seem to be returning, or life seem to be returning to normal. Is there any things that we need to be worried about? So Dr. Ofori is going to be treating us to those subjects and those area and any questions that you may have. So we'll be right back after the short break. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that out. We'll be right back.
Siana, in collaboration with the Siana nurses and allied workers, presents a virtual Siana Health Forum on the topic Surviving the COVID-19 Vaccine. This will be held on the 29th of May 2021 at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Venue is virtual. On the panel are Prince Hodogbe, Dr. Prisla Seshi, Prosper Seshi, Grace Agbo, Alice Nyamadi Anan, Empress Yasmin Ahiambla Doche, Ninette Ajimahe, and Ruben Hajide. Your hosts are the prominent Steve Day and Alfred Amuzu. The Zoom link ID is 757-434-4700 and the passcode is 4782. Siana, move forward with the socio-economic development of the land.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
Welcome back to Steve and Afra Show from Echo Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad. As we've been telling you all evening, we have Dr. Ofori in the house. We have the doctor in the house, and let's bring Dr. Ofori to the studio. Let's bring Dr. Ofori in. Let's welcome Dr. Ofori. Hey, Doc, how you doing? Long time, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Hey, we can't be any better, sir. It's been a while. We know you have been in the background watching and listening anytime we live on show. So we're glad that you're here with us live today. So what is going on in the COVID world that we need to know and we need to be aware of? We see, look like this, everywhere. People are getting very comfortable. People are going about, life almost as normal. I was in a party yesterday. I was expecting to see you there, but you were missing in action, but we did enjoy one and had one on your behalf. But the point of it is that we are beginning to congregate. We've heard about announcements about here in Chicago. I'm sure that abounds just about everywhere. What can you share with us that you would like us to know about the COVID situation as it stands today?
All right. Thank you, Steve. I think I was watching you, put you on your dance moves for that party, but I'm still trying to keep a social distance, even though I'm fully vaccinated, and you're going to understand why. So what I would say before I even continue to illustrate is that science is winning, because there was a lot of conspiracy theories that I came to your show multiple times to dispute and try to prove people that this is real and there's a solution to it, right?
Right.
The vaccines are already here. A lot of people are getting vaccinated. I don't know about Alfred and you, Steve. Did you guys get yours yet? Okay, so
Fully
Absolutely.
fully fascinated.
Fully
After
vaccinated.
you've had your first shot, right? You're waiting for your second, right?
Oh, I had them both. The second one really kicked. I didn't just talk about it. I kept it quiet, but it kicked my behind really good.
right. So the second one got you, right?
It did.
So that's
It did.
basically your body, trying to build some immunity against the infection. So
Right.
the vaccines are
So
working, right?
I didn't have, and so I didn't have any side effect. I mean, the first one, I felt a little tired, and that was about it. And the second one, I was fine, and you know, I just had a pain from the injection point. So does it mean that my body did not, you said after,
Yeah,
it is
I
bad?
hear the young. Well, not to mean that you are older than me, any, but I hear the difference. The younger people usually react to it harder than the younger people because they have a stronger immune system. I'm sure your immune system is really good. That is why the first one did a little something to you. But there's a doctor and an expert in the house, so
Yeah. Well, you're good. You're good at it. You're doing the right thing. So your body is mounting some defense against, the infection later on when you get in touch with it. It's just building immunoglobulins. Basically, that's what it is.
right.
It is something called reactogenicity. Some people experience it, other people don't. So I mean, it doesn't mean that you didn't get anything in your system. You do. If they did antibody testing on you, they probably will find a chunk of it in your system. And most people in the US, earlier on received the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines. We do have Johnson and Johnson too, which is one dose vaccine. Now, if you see those of you watching on Facebook, you see that the US number of deaths for today is 217, right?
Right,
How does that feel? Right? We
Wow.
used to talk about 4,000s, right?
right.
Right. Yeah, and we do have I think half of the
These
population.
are national statistics, right?
This is national, right? So the number of deaths have reduced drastically,
Right.
and for instance, half of the United States have fully vaccinated at least 50% of adults, and then you see that it is actually taking a bigger effect on number of cases we see now. So it does seem like, I'm confident in what we're seeing now. The trend is good. That the more people you get vaccinated, the higher the chances that you're not going to have a lot of cases and people dying as a result of that as well. So this is good news for all of us, so that we can start opening up businesses. You see that in Illinois and other states, even New York today. The mayor said that the students can go back to in-person schooling coming forward, which is great news. That's the highest school zone in the whole US. It's opening up in-person schooling, so it tells you we are pretty confident that the vaccines work, and having half of the population vaccinated is a great thing that has happened. But we want to push to like 80% vaccination as we speak.
Right.
All right. So, okay. So we have some good news. Let me just read a few comments very quickly. Let's post some few comments and then we'll take it from there. So, Philip Senano, who used to be my vice president when I was the president of the Airway Association, is chimed in and said, "Hi, Steve. Great program. Agree with Alfred that we need good leadership and strong institutions to develop our countries. We also need to educate the electorate so that we can break away from electing criminals as lawmakers." So he was reacting to Alfred's presentation. So we have our good friend Ato Kamina, and let's say congratulations to Ato Kamina for graduating from nursing school. Besides all the other things that he does, congratulations to you. We can need more nurses in the house. So I'm sure you'll be coming in to be briefing us soon on health issues pretty soon. He says, Dr. Ofori, did you hear the the bombshell from Dr. Fauci about the origin of the coronavirus COVID-19. So yes, so Doug, if you can react to Dr. Fauci's.
Oh yeah. So I did hear a little bit about it. I haven't really dug into it, but it's basically he's convinced that it wasn't natural. It didn't come naturally, but he thinks it's modified. This is something that I think there was a paper that came out earlier on when COVID came that was speculating that it's potential that it could be of natural origin, but there wasn't anything concrete about the fact that it was made in the lab because of the sequencing that they looked at the point. You see, in the beginning, China was not too straightforward with the rest of the world, and therefore, trying to go back in time and sequence and pattern all these things, it was a little bit difficult for us to pinpoint and say that, hey, this was actually natural origin. There was always a speculation. Nobody had an evidence that it was man-made in a lab either, because the genome that actually evolved to make it hook into the cells of the lungs was so specific that it was going to be very difficult to make that in a lab. That was the only explanation they made. So as time goes on, like you said, we're going to learn more. I'm not too sure what Fauci is saying, because he says he doesn't think, which I don't expect a scientist to say that. You can express yourself, but you have to back it with data. As you speak, there's no scientific data that has proven that it was the otherwise, which means it was made in lab. Nobody has published that in at this point. But him saying that, a lot of people trust him, and therefore people are going to carry it in some way or fashion.
All right. So, Alfred, let's bring you into the conversation. What specific questions do you have for Dr. Ofori?
Yeah, Dr. Fauci is almost like the Elon Musk of Dogecoin of the currency, where
he goes on Saturday Night Live and say something, and then the
and everything tumbles. So Dr. Fauci's concerned, we are all shaking. Yeah, Dr. Ofori, I haven't seen you in a very long time, even though they said, like we say, you're always in the background watching us. And talking about background, your background is looking fantastic.
Thank you. I'm taking cues from what's his name? This guy, Kevin Taylor. Yes, there we go.
Yeah, I think the one you are exactly.
I think he uses that background too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very clean one, and it's making you look really good. So, in my county today, in the federal county in Maryland, we had one death for the day, which is amazing news. I think the whole state of Maryland had about less than 10 or so. So basically, should we be going out and taking off our mask? And I'm asking that to say that maybe I know where the answer is going to come from, because you didn't go to the party yesterday because you are still safe distancing, or you are still keeping your distance. Is it safe for from your standpoint to get out there and party like pre-COVID days?
Well, I think that's just me not going. It was just personal. But what I would say is that it's safe for you to go out, right? But then still, because this situation is so volatile, right? You always want to exercise caution. We've seen people congregate, and we don't see much person-to-person transmission either. Even in airplanes and public transportation, CDC still advises that we should wear our mask, right? So those of you watching will see the CDC's recommendation about what fully vaccinated people can do, and those who are partially vaccinated or unvaccinated will be able to do. So, for instance, outdoors there's a CDC recommendation that says you can walk, run, do your bike activities. You can do that. Both people can do that, either you're vaccinated or not. It goes on and on and on. And when it gets to somewhere like dining at an outdoor restaurant with friends from multiple households, if you're fully vaccinated, you're good. But then there's a little caution exercised when it comes to those who are not vaccinated. However, if you attend a crowded outdoor event like a live performance, parade, or sports event, of course, if you're fully vaccinated, they think you'll be fine. But then someone who is not will stand a higher chance of getting an infection from that. And that brings you to the fact that, so those are outdoors, right? So indoors,
Right.
you have a higher risk, right? Yeah. So I would say if it's not too crowded, right?
Right.
To the extent that the kind of club kind of crowded where you can't even step anywhere, I don't think it's safe in that regard, because as we know, the immune system waits off with time.
Right.
As we are learning now that we might need a booster shot coming in some months to come, right? So
Yeah.
until we get some kind of a herd immunity, where we have almost 80% of the people vaccinated, so we can get this out of the way, it's still going to be a lot of, COVID is here to stay pretty much, if we don't get everyone vaccinated, because you're going to have in-person transmission from time to time. And what we are scared of is different variants coming down the line, like you
Right.
have flu and all those kind of infections. And therefore, I will advise that if you don't have to, don't go into indoor crowded areas, right? You can do restaurant where there's a lot of spacing if you're fully vaccinated. There's been a lot of data that has suggested that there's no person-to-person transmission in that regard. So yes,
Right.
we are almost there, but I think if you could push 20% people to vaccinate, I think I would be confident that we can all go out there. 50% still not good enough.
Right. Right.
So let's see, Atu Kwamna is saying something. So let's go to, you can share viewers. Today we're talking to Dr. Ofori, and Dr. Ofori is giving us some insight as to what you should be cautious about, and all that you need to know about the COVID and it's the vaccination. And if you have any questions, you can join us by sending your sending your feed, your commentary or your questions through our live feed portal, and we'll be able to read them for you, just like Atu Kwamina has done. Atu Kwamina says, I hope Dr. Fauci's bombshell will resurrect the Dutch coin, otherwise wahala pa. Thanks for your response, as always, Dr. Ofori. That is okay. So he's hoping maybe he put some money into Dogecoin, so he's hoping that Dr. Fauci will resurrect it in some way. Okay. Vivian says, good job, guys. Thank you so much. Vivian joining us from the New Jersey area. Thank you so much. And we see we have 384 people that have joined us this afternoon. And wherever you join us from, if you have a question for Dr. Ofori, such a very busy guy. And this is one of the only times that you can catch him on here, although he's on some other shows, but this is the best place to catch him. So catch him while he's here. Send your live questions, and we can have them read live on air for you. So Doug, I see Lifetime Legacy joining us from the Indianapolis area. Lifetime Legacy joining us. We haven't seen him online lately, so thanks. Welcome back on the line with us this afternoon, Lifetime Legacy. We thank you so much. So, Dr. Forey, so you're saying in the CDC recommendations, there are a lot of things that you can do if you are fully vaccinated. Like Alfred and I and yourself and a few others, 50% of the US population, there is a lot that can be done. But yes, so there is a caution as to be careful so that you still stand the chances of being able to contract, and you still stand the chances of being able to pass it on to others. Let me ask you this question about the New York Yankees, right? We heard that all of them had been fully vaccinated, but there was 9 staff and players that contracted the virus. I don't know to what extent, if any of them require hospitalization or so. So that brings to question or into focus that even though you are fully vaccinated, you can still contract and it can affect you tremendously. So can you explain that to, if you may?
All right. So what I would say before I explain is that no vaccine is 100%. Right? What does that mean? If it's 95%, there is a 5% chance that you can potentially have the infection. So what I'm saying is that if you pick 100 people, statistically, it's significant to have 95 of them being prevented, which is huge. But it could be the 5%, could be anyone, right? So what we're saying is that just be protective until you get the whole virus out of the community, it is always good to exercise some kind of caution, because we still have a chance that different people react to vaccines differently. They produce different titer of the antibodies, and therefore there's a higher chance that some individuals might have the infection. And we also see breakthrough COVID infections as well. It's not the highest numbers in terms of statistics, but I think it's still something that we need to be cautious about. We realize that those who end up with infection don't have severe forms of it, which is also good, because the immunity that you build is not just the antibodies, you also build cell-mediated kind of immunity as well, which is long-lasting a little bit, right? So because of that, I always advise that, hey, you can go out and eat and enjoy your life, all right. Outdoors is as safe as possible, but indoors, then it becomes a little bit risky. But however, if you are somebody who got a vaccine earlier on and your immune response is not as strong, you can potentially have a breakthrough COVID infection, but you're not going to be having a severe form of infection, because your body will be able to mount immunity quicker than we used to think.
All right. So, Alfred, do you have any follow-up for Dr. Ofori?
Yeah. So, Dr. Ofori, they've also, and I wanted to ask about the kids, because we know Pfizer has announced that kids can now, I think from I don't know if it is from 14 and up, yes, can also get the vaccine. Are they getting the exact same vaccine that we adults got, and or is it a different type of vaccine that they are getting?
It's the same vaccine that we received. So usually they try it in adults to make sure that it's safe before they look at children. A lot of children have been vaccinated as we speak. We haven't seen any serious side effect amongst children. Seems to be protective in that regard, and therefore we recommend that you talk to the physician or your pediatrician so that they can recommend the vaccines for children who are from 12 to 15 years. That forms a chunk of our population as well. So as time goes on, we roll it gradually. So you're going to look at maybe 9 to 11 years, and then we roll it gradually till we get to the youngest. So they because they are not the highest risk to die from the infection with the current in the United States.
Right. So it may be that even if once we get through the 12 and up, that we may not even have to vaccinate the younger ones, because all we need really is about 80% of the population, right? And,
correct.
Hopefully we can attain that 80% by that time.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So if you can get most people vaccinated, then you don't have much transmission, right? And then the virus just disappears pretty much. But if you don't have that, then you still have maybe 50% of the people who can potentially carry it around. Then it becomes very difficult. So but you can see from the numbers, where you have a lot of people vaccinated, you see that there's a drastic decline in number of cases.
Right. Yeah. Steve, I also wanted to ask about Ghana and India, because those two countries are dear to my heart. Ghana because, of course, it's home, and India because, that's where Ghana is getting its vaccines from. So, Doc, I know you've been following developments in Ghana. Where are they? Are people getting vaccinated? What vaccines are they getting, since India is put a ban on any export of their AstraZeneca type of vaccine? What is going on in Ghana that you are aware of?
Yeah, so I just read this article a few days ago about how Ghana pretty much got a kickback from Congo, right? So that we can implement our COVID-19 vaccination efforts. I think so far we've had about 350,000 from the ones that Congo received. Congo received about 1.2 million doses, and they kind of gave it to Ghana, I think, and other Central African Republic and all these other countries. Ghana happens to have 350,000 from them, just to increase the number of doses to about 900,000. So people have started receiving the second doses. The whole idea is that COVAX is supposed to help all these low-income countries to achieve, like, from what I understand, in Africa, 600 million doses that can vaccinate 20% of the population. We hope that we will be able to get that because it will buy us some more time. We still need, I think, 250,000, right, to supplement the 600,000. I hope the current government administration will be able to work hard to enroll that numbers out there for people to get their second dose. Otherwise, then all the doses that they receive earlier on probably will start having decreased immune response as we already anticipate. So I think in Ghana, people are receiving their second doses, but what I'll ask the administration to do is intensify efforts to be able to get doses from other countries, such as maybe the United States or countries that are able to donate some doses to Ghana. Because as you can see, I will show you some data that tells you the number of vaccines that have been, distributed in the United States. Give me a second and I'll show you that. And how much has actually been vaccinated or has been distributed. US is having a lot of issues with percentage of people that have been vaccinated in terms of vaccines that have been distributed compared to how many people have received it. So let me show you. So if you look at the southern states of the United States, right, most of them have very low numbers of, I would say, vaccines being given to per 100 people. So as you can see, those of you who are watching, you realize that the numbers, are not the best that we expect it to be. Vermont seems to be the highest when it comes to people vaccinated per 100. But as you go down in the list, it's an interesting thing that you discover that, like, places like Mississippi, the Louisiana, Virgin Island, Alabama, the numbers are not that great, right? So with Ghana, even though we only have less than 1 million, we still potentially could face vaccination hesitancy in Ghana as well. Because it hasn't been widespread like the US, we don't see that. People are rushing to get it. But the question becomes, are we going to plateau like we see in the US as well? So when it comes to Ghana, these are the issues that I worry about, is the continuation of the vaccine program. And also, there's no much education going on to make people aware of it. People think there's no COVID anyways. So that brings a lot of question. And we what happened in India. Looking at sources of vaccines from India too, that's another issue. If you're resourcing your sources from India and they are hit that hard, AstraZeneca production in that country is hit because India is actually was struggling. So that has actually affected how many vaccines Ghana is also receiving.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the live feed and get some comments from there. We have Mauli Yawa Kujao says, hello, folks. Mauli, thanks for joining us this evening. And I'm not sure where you joined us from, but it's a pleasure to have you online with us this afternoon. So Mauli went on to say, I thought the purpose of Nguchi Institute was built to help Ghana and West Africa on a whole to get products to get produce its own vaccines, research and cure for us instead of us importing from other countries. So that is Mauli's thought. That so what is Nguchi doing? Why are we so struggling to get vaccines and dependent on other?
Maybe Africa can answer that question, huh?
Then Mauli went on to say that anyway. Great show, guys. So he says, anyway, don't worry. Great show, guys. So we have Ibrahim Mohammed says, Ghanaians are ready to take the vaccines now, Dr. Ofori, but unfortunately, there are no vaccines. So there's no hesitancy in Ghana at all. Ibrahim says, your good friend Ibrahim is telling you that in Ghana they make ready, but why did the vaccines? The vaccines no
there. Well, you cannot measure hesitancy when there's no vaccine, right?
Yeah.
If you can answer Mauli's question.
Well, when it comes to building our own vaccine plants and things, it's been an ongoing conversation. Even I think Joe Biden urged the pharma companies to relax the rules on the patents, right? So there's still continual talks about it, and they know. I mean, when it comes to big pharma, man, it's like the petroleum industry or like the tech industry, right? Pharma industry is huge, and whenever you try to mess with their money, there's going to be a lot of consequences. What it means is that a lot of people who are researching and doing a lot of development in infectious disease research, they're basically going to stop. They're going to take their monies from their stocks. It's going to crash. It's going to affect the economy. So maybe they can come into certain agreements, right? The whole world can contribute some amount of money and pay the farmer off, and then they will get their share because it will kill the incentive. Basically, that's what it is. So what Mauli is talking about is, can every country have the opportunity to, make their own vaccine, because now you know the formula, right? It's an RNA. You can buy the plant and set it up and train people to do it. Otherwise, at the current rates that we're going, it's postulated that it's going to take us 5 years to get 75% of the world population vaccinated, right? So that's a long time to come. So can we, within this time, be able to do something innovative to combat the spread of the virus by relaxing the patent rules? It's something that is ongoing at this point.
So, Doc, you've practiced in Ghana, or at least you did your studies in Ghana. Do we have industry in Ghana? I'm talking about pharmaceutical industry with a backbone to be able to produce vaccines of this nature. Because, I mean, all I've seen in Ghana is the over-the-counter type of medicines that we are able to produce. But for all the prescription ones that are administered in Ghana, that we actually import into Ghana, do we have the agents we need? Do you think we have the supply chain necessary to support a vaccine production, sort of facility in Ghana?
I think absolutely we are capable of doing it. So I think the initial conversation was to have a hub that's going to supply like Western Africa, right? So they was going to put it in Ghana and make it a huge plant that was going to supply the people in that area. We do have the capacity to do it because it's a process, right? You test it, you make sure that you have the plants, everything set up. We do that all the time. You produce like AstraZeneca and all these drugs that comes to the US. Most of them are produced outside of the US as well. They are quality controlled by people who are in it. It's like iPhone, right? You make the parts and you assemble it. Yeah, so it's the same thing that you can do with drugs. You have the formula, you have the cookbook. I have a feeling that you can quality assure that it is actually consistent with what is going to be injected in the US. No doubt about it, because it's a system. The question becomes the money, right? The money that we're going to use,
right?
yes, that becomes an issue. So anything is possible. They can put that into effect. You can hire students, workers, and train them, and then you can have that production going. Because in Ghana we're only 30 million, right? Maybe more. If you're talking about 70% of the population, that's not too bad of vaccines to administer. We can get that in a year or so if you're able to produce our own.
All right, so we're gonna take a short break, but before we do so, let's read Atu Kwamina's comment, and after that we'll take a quick break. And Mauli, I see that you've sent in something. We'll be reading yours when we come back. But Atu Kwamina has a comment for you, Dr. Ofori. It says the vaccines hesitancy in the southern states is expected, all related to Trump and his GOP. So yeah, the Grand Old Party. So he said that is why there is the vaccine hesitancy in the South, per the statistics that you provided. So that is what Dr. Atu Kwamina is saying. You are watching Stephen Afra Show from Echo Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad. Today we're talking to Dr. Ofori, and Dr. Ofori is giving us some great insights to some of the issues related to COVID. So please don't touch that down. Continue to share the link, and while you there, like our page as well. We'll be right back after this short break.
Siana, Siana, Siana. Siana, in collaboration with the Siana nurses and allied workers, presents a virtual Siana Health Forum on the topic Surviving the COVID-19 Vaccine. This will be held on the 29th of May 2021 at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Venue is virtual. On the panel are Prince Hodogbe, Dr. Prisla Seshi, Prosper Seshi, Grace Agbo, Alice Nyamadi Anan, Empress Yasmin Ahiambla Doche, Ninette Ajimahe, and Ruben Hajide. Your hosts are the prominent Steve Day and Alfred Amuzu. The Zoom link ID is 757-434-4700 and the passcode is 4782. Siana, move forward with the socio-economic development of the land.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
Welcome back to Steve and Alfred show from Echo Radio, number one station for Africans living abroad. Before we went on the break, the Mauli had something for us. So let's go and read what Mauli Yawa Kujao says. I know Ghana has very good pharmaceutical companies, but obviously, and patients are patents are a huge issue. But just imagine if India has been able to get it, what stops us instead of building cathedral? Okay, so that is what building more a house for God. What about what stops us from building? So Mauli, Mauli, thank you for
Mauli, very right.
Thank you for that comment, Yawa Kujao. Thank you for that. So. Ibrahim, he's Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed, right? Yeah. So he says, according to the health minister, about 3 pharmaceutical companies has been accepted to start manufacturing vaccines, but afraid the question is.
I think it's an Alfred's question.
Is that but Alfred is questioning. Alfred's question is, when is it starting? All right. That's Ganashi. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so yeah, so Dr. Ofori, if you can respond to this Ibrahim, he said Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed, right?
Oh no, Ibrahim is not a doctor. But I mean that's an interesting comment.
Yeah.
About the first one is if India was able to do it, right?
Right.
That's from Mauli. What stops Ghana from doing it?
Right.
The Indian vaccine was a sublease from AstraZeneca, right?
Okay.
So it wasn't like it coming from India. It's actually a section of AstraZeneca in India producing the AstraZeneca vaccine. When it comes to 3 pharmaceutical companies in Ghana producing vaccines, I mean, they're capable of doing it, right? No doubt about it. You can produce. What capacity can you produce? Do you have the technical know-how to do it? Is it going to be quality assured? Are we going to have? You're not going to have any issues with, post-vaccination issues. Because a lot of the hesitancy has come from the fact that some of the vaccines were paused. Before that, people were not ready to get it, and then there were issues about people having cardiac issues and things of that nature. So anything that we're going to do in Ghana, first of all, is from Ghana, right? That alone, people will question it. Even J&J, people still question it, right? Because they said it wasn't 95%. So there's a whole lot of things that goes on in that area. And what I would fear is that if we don't crosses all our T's and dot our I's and something happens from a vaccine from Ghana, that's it. All the nobody want to take it. You can't force nobody to take it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So based on that, I'll be cautious. If you're going to have people doing Ghana, do it right. Make sure it's quality assured. Don't cut no corners, and make sure that this vaccine is going into people as efficacious as possible.
That goes to Alfred's question that anything you try to do, and Ghana, it's not it's not exclusively just Ghana though. But that goes to your presentation earlier that you go to Ghana, and we're talking about Ghana because we are all Ghanaians and we go to Ghana all the time. We know what happens in Ghana. But let's this is a program note that what I'm about to say, it is not exclusive to Ghana. It happens in so many other places, in so many African countries. But after you made a point that you go to Ghana, anything you want to do, you have to pay someone before you can even begin to want to get it done. So it puts pressure on, let's say you have a contract, you have to pay the 10% before the contract is awarded to you. But you present a contract with the build-in that it's going to take this much to execute that contract. But here you are, and you're making all these payments from before you get the contract to when the contract is awarded to you, to through when you are executing it and getting payment before you get paid. It's all payments through other. So doesn't that constrict the contractor to be able to deliver quality products? And can that be said about the pharmaceutical company as well? That Dr. Ofori, you say, do it right, don't cut corners. Haven't we created a situation where it does appear that it's almost impossible to do something right in our country?
I think when it comes to medicines, right, that's why we have the regulatory bodies, right, to make sure, even the AstraZeneca vaccine that went to Ghana, the FDA of Ghana is supposed to cross-check it before they accept it. That's what it is. You can't just import it. They're supposed to examine it and make sure it has expired. It's actually what it says it is. They have to check it. So if you're producing one in Ghana, you have to have the regulatory bodies come in there and make sure that it's the right thing to do. We cannot politicize health. Unfortunately, that's what has happened. Because if you have a lot of the population sick, you know what happens, right? Your economy just goes down. Nothing works anymore. So I think we should treat it as a matter of urgency. I don't think we should cut corners when it comes to medication. I used to work in Ghana as a pharmacist. I saw a lot of things that I'm not proud of, when it comes to medications. There were instances where people were selling, anti-malaria drugs that had nothing in them. Imagine you had malaria, you're sick, and you took, some medicine, and it has no active ingredient in it. It was just powder, So counterfeit medications in Ghana is a huge thing. Therefore, the ordinary Ghanaian doesn't even know what to trust, right? But then what I'm saying is that the regulation, which is is an arm of the government, should be strong. Make sure that whatever is being produced for people, not just vaccines, it could be infusions, it could be tablets, capsules, whatever is on the market, should be what it is, right? And if the government, if these pharmaceutical companies need help in terms of money, they should ask the government for it so they can support them. NS Chemists, later, all these big pharmaceutical companies, they should get involved and make sure they deliver the best quality drugs to people in Ghana than importing. We do import a lot because when I was living, I think there were only 6 major pharmaceutical companies in Ghana. Now maybe there could be more, but most of the drugs were imported from India.
Right.
It's a question, yeah.
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 Yeah, just to kind of add a little to that, if we were to do all the things the politicians tell us they will do, by now we will be an advanced country. I don't even know why they bother to come and tell us, oh, we will do this, we will do this, we will do that. Just do it. And then come and tell us.
Alfred, if they didn't tell you that, what would you do?
Well, here's the thing. We've been told we are going to have 88 hospitals by this time, last year. We don't have even a single one built. If we had those 88 hospitals, pregnant women wouldn't be carried on.
The question becomes when you tell me, show me, right? How are you going to do it? Like, in the US, when a politician stands and says, I want to do this, I want to do that, they usually question, how are you going to do it? Where is the money going to come from? And if it's our taxes, then they're going to probe into it. We don't want our taxes to go up. So in Ghana, I think politicians get away with the question of how are you going to do it?
Yeah.
If they were, I know a lot of times, the presidential candidates will be asked, but they don't really give straightforward answer. Like, you have Trump do. He will tell you he doesn't want to let other people know what he's thinking. That is how we end up in this problem. I don't think we should put our faith too much in these political talks. We should look at plans and actions. Our healthcare system is not that good. Even the politicians, when they are sick, they come to the US,
right,
Africa. So the question becomes, why can't you fix your own? Can't you build an ultra-modern hospital where you can have the best brains? Man, I'm telling you, smart people, we can be surgeons and stuff. But the question is, we are not focusing on that. We're focusing on the wrong stuff. We're spending the money left and right. So I'm not trying to be political, but I think there is a way that we can do things better.
Right. I agree.
So let's go back to the phone lines and let's read some of the comments that are coming in. So Ibrahim says, Mr. Steve, Mr. Steve, Mr. Steve, I called you 3 times, right? Just a few months ago, a woman from the FDA was caught on tape who wanted to take money before approving a drug. The case is still currently in court for almost a year and nothing has been done. So, Dr. Ofori, don't cut corners, do it right, don't politicize. Well, Alfred will tell you too much bribery, too much corruption in our country, so nothing is getting done. Okay, so Mauli came back to say, so essentially you are afraid of the Farmer Nyami issue and our dishonest attitude when it comes to working in Ghana. Truth, you said it all. So talking about you, Dr. Ofori, when you were working in Ghana as a pharmacist, as some more, as everybody, Dr. Ofori is telling us some of the things that he went through as a pharmacist, and some of you, let's leave it as that. So legacy, like our legacy says so. So if the vaccine is not giving 100% safety, why take it? So we've heard about, I think the closest that we have in terms of efficacy is Pfizer, right? Pfizer's is 95, right? Yeah. So it says we are not getting 100%, why take it, Dr. Ofori, if you can respond to that.
Well, I'll take even at a point we're looking at 40%.
Right.
It was just great science that we got 95%. The flu vaccine has the highest of 60% at one time, but guess what? Every year we do take it because it offers a lot of safety in terms of risk to benefit ratio, right? So the benefit of taking the vaccine far outweighs, right? It far outweighs the risk. So let's look at even the virus itself. if you contract it, how many people die out of it, right? So do that math and compare it to when you take the vaccine. So which one would you prefer, to get a virus and stand about 80% chance of dying if you have certain comorbidities, right? So the chances of actually having a severe function, even long haul effects after contracting COVID, people are still struggling. So all those things are things that I will look at as a risk and benefit, and use that to inform my decision. No vaccine is going to be 100%. There's no doubt out there. We only use herd immunity to kick infections out of our system. Polio, all of that. It's not everybody probably that got vaccinated, but majority did, and therefore by just numbers, the virus just dies out of the system. Because if it doesn't get into you, it doesn't stay, right? So then at a point in time, nobody has it, and that's the end of it. So that's what we're trying to say by getting vaccinated.
All right, so Dr. Ford, you've told us about herd immunity, and we've had some other experts to, talked about it. And I think the focus is that if we can just get there, and you have said it several times today, if we can just get there, we can kick this out of the system. So what is herd immunity, if you can tell us again?
All right, so herd immunity is kind of a measurement at the point in time, right? So if you had 100 people in a room, okay, and 80% of them have antibodies, it means they have the soldiers that fight infection, right? So the infection gets to 80% because there's a degree of spread for every virus, right? So the rate at which the virus is spreading, if you have a lot of people who have the virus but are able to fight it off without spreading it, then the virus ends there, right? So to get herd immunity means majority of the people in the population don't pass on the virus. And if you're able to keep that going for some time, the virus has nowhere to go.
Right.
That's basically what herd immunity means. But if you have more of the people not vaccinated or have immunity against the virus, it has places to jump from, from here to here. So that way it has the ability to replicate, right? They call something the R number or whatever. So that number is going to be higher, and you're going to have more people getting the virus. So it's a way to box the virus or the bacteria, whatever it is to keep it in a cage, because it cannot move from person to person because of the immune system that you have.
All right. Once again, let's welcome over 380 people that have joined us this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you may be joining us from. I would like to welcome all of you. If this is the first time that you're joining the show, we are here every Monday from 5 to 7 p.m. And we deal with a lot of topical issues that could be of benefit to you, or that are essentially of benefit to you. And today we have the pleasure of having Dr. Ofori with us today, and we're talking about what else? We're talking about COVID-19. So let's go to Ibrahim. Ibrahim and Mauli, it's on Doc's tail today. And I think Ibrahim, really, I think he may be a fan of Alfred, because everything he's talking about had to do with Alfred's so bad, He said, okay, so 88 hospitals. Do you believe that? I never did anyway, because even a regional hospital has patients lying on the floor, including a day-old baby. So just imagine. Okay, so let's go to Mauli. Mauli says, it takes 50% even. I would take 50% even from what I know about the disease. So that was in reaction to Lifetime Legacy saying, if it is 100%, why should you take it? Or why should you take it? Okay. So Mauli says if it is 50%, she will take that over the number of efficacies that we're talking about. So Ibrahim came back and says, in Ghana, road accident has killed over 1,000 people within 3 months, while COVID has killed lesser within a year. This is the mentality of many Ghanaians. So, Dr. Fori, how do we convince such? Okay, how do we convince such people? So, Ibrahim, now want to find out from you that road accident is killing so many people than COVID. So how do you convince people that you need to take the vaccine so that you can build the antibodies? And the sooner we all begin to take the vaccine, then we can achieve the herd immunity. And then we can get rid of it by saying there are other situations that are more severe than COVID is. And I think that it is so sad, it is so true though. But if you see the behavior of many Ghanaians, you think that there is no such thing as COVID because they go about life, and they do, the congregating, and I don't think anything has really stopped after a short period of the exigency that this is serious, we need to do this. But I think nobody really pays attention right now, and so it's a huge problem. So what do you say?
I think before Doc comes in, I've heard musicians in Ghana actually make songs that says they will never take that vaccine. So the whole battle of trying to inform and educate people will be something I'm interested in what Dr. Ofori has to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where Mohammed is coming from, but there's something called baseline mortality, right? So baseline mortality is before COVID, how many people died from car accidents in a year? Probably the 1,000 he's talking about, right? Before COVID, how many people died from heart attack in Ghana? It probably will be 3,000 people, okay? Has that changed? Probably not, right? So the number he's talking about could be the baseline, right? We are so fortunate in terms of when it comes to COVID numbers that at a point we were no travel area, you know that, right? Because Ghana's positivity rate was double digits all the time. Right. We were on category 4, meaning don't travel there. But not because there's not much publication and publicity about where we stand in terms of COVID. There was a lot of misinformation in that regard. So yes, you do have a point. People are dying from car accidents, but that's just baseline numbers. That's exactly what happened in India. They started jubilating, right? They said they've taken care of COVID and they know COVID. And then when the time came for them to do festivities, everybody went about as if there was nothing wrong. One thing that is probably saving Ghana at this point is the testing that they do at Kotoka, which I personally think there's still some flaws with it. They need to make sure they tighten the screws. That will kind of help a little bit in that regard. The testing has reduced. We still don't know the number of cases as we speak. But when you do see community spread, where people are being hospitalized and people are dying, then it becomes an issue. We dropped from category 4 to 3, and I probably may be on our way to 2, which is not bad, right? It's good. We don't want anybody to have COVID in Ghana, but at the same time, there's a saying in Akan that if you see that somebody's beard is on fire, you actually get water and put your beard in it, right? So if you see that places like India and all these big countries are struggling, if you have such a spread in Ghana, we're in trouble, and we have different strains coming. That's why we're saying, if you have the opportunity to vaccinate, do it. You don't have nothing to lose. Then I've seen a lot. I've had people that were friends with and they've lost their lives to COVID in Ghana, and so many people have recovered from COVID that never thought they had it in Ghana. Because they were not tested it, first of all, to start with. So it's still there. I understand convincing these people will be very challenging, but we should still keep on, promoting the good information.
All right, our good friend Lawrence Dagadu is chiming in from the Dallas, Texas area, and he has a radio program that is, I believe, on every Friday night or so, and another on Saturday morning as well. So we thank Dr. Lawrence Dagadu for joining us this evening from the Dallas, Texas area. So Mauli says, so please, before your nice gentlemen leave, which one which one are we doing in Ghana now? Is it the fix the country, or are we fixing ourselves, or what? Or we think? Have a blessed day, gentlemen. I'm out. So So why would you want to find out? I think this question goes to Alfred.
Yes.
So what do we do for Ghana right now? Is it fix ourselves, fix the country, fix our other, what's going on?
Yeah, I think we are products of our environment. That the leaders that we elect to power usually come from our midst. So again, it is important that we fix ourselves as well as fix the country. So I think we are doing both. It's just that using fix yourself as a response to fix the country is what doesn't help. We definitely know that the Ghanaian need to fix himself. You shouldn't be taking bribe, on top of a contract that I've received. If you are supposed to process my voucher so I can get paid for work I've done for the government, let those processes flow without any palm greasing. If we can stop corruption in Ghana, of course, if we can fix our country, if we can stop the galamsey, if we can, stop the fake promises, and instead of saying we are going to build hospitals that we know definitely we wouldn't build, of course, we will be on a good way to developing and industrializing and providing, all the benefits that come with those things to our people. But without that, yes, we are not going to develop as a country, and the quicker we fix ourselves, the better. So we do need to fix ourselves, and we do need to fix the country. It almost sounds like when you say fix the country, you are talking to the government. You are saying you are in power. We elected you for a purpose. We ask that you lead us out of this trouble. So do your job. Go ahead and lead us. Otherwise, we need to find a replacement for you. But we can't do that without also fixing ourselves. We, the Ghanaians, contribute to this. So, you see a Ghanaian walking around the market, they eat something, they just throw the dust out there and say somebody else is going to come sweep it. And you can see that nobody else is sweeping it. Our gutters are getting silted. If it rains, houses are getting flooded. So again, help the government fix the country. Help the people we put in power fix the country by fixing yourself. So it's both, to be honest.
All right, so I think we ran out of time here, but before we do, I know Ibrahim just said something. Before we go to Ibrahim's question or comment, Doug, you said something about Kotoka, which is the airport in Ghana, the international airport in Ghana. So you talked about the testing that is going on, but please help me out here. So they asked you to take the COVID test with a negative result 72 hours before you come. You're coming from a developed country like the US, Canada, and the rest of the developed countries. You have gotten, vaccinated, fully vaccinated. When you get into Kotoka, you are compelled to take a test. You pay $150 if you are not a Ghanaian citizen holding a Ghanaian passport. You pay $150, and then you take a test. So what exactly are we trying to achieve here? Is it that necessary? I'm sure Parliament, they're trying to make it political, but you are an apolitical person. So you give us your perspective as to what is right, what is Ghana doing, and is it right for Ghana to continue to do what it's doing?
So what I would say is that everybody is battling with this vaccinated, unvaccinated issue, even in the US, because the CDC says we are going to go on the honest code. People will be honest by themselves and not, volunteer to go to places. But people are not going to do that, right? So it's basically because of that. That is why maybe Ghana is being extra cautious, all right? Because there's no vaccine passport. And I don't want to play into the conspiracy theory of people thinking you're going to carry your passport around and it's going to have vaccine stamp in it and all of that. But it's coming, because if this becomes something that will tie with the economy, right? Because think about it. If the US is able to get out of this, do you think they'll relax their rules for people to come back in and hold the economy? No. They will put measures in place, and every country is going to do that. So before you travel, just like you do with TB and all these other vaccines, you're going to have to do that. It's not different. It's just that this one has been politicized too much. So for me, the testing at Kotoka International Airport is equally important, because I guess people were bringing fake tests and things through the airports. And some people were paying to get away with it. A whole lot of stuff went on, right? And Alfred will understand that there was some issues with contract with who tests them and at the airport. A whole lot. I don't want to get into that. But what I'm saying is that if we're able to control the influx from outside and within the community, the spread, of course, we don't even test, like Mohammed is saying. Some places in Ghana the testing is not even efficient. So if we're able to do that and we don't see corresponding increase in numbers in community spread, then maybe we might be at a peak or at a point where we have a baseline or people are getting okay with COVID, but it's still around because people are still dying from it, So in short, I would say, yes, if you're vaccinated, they might still check you at the port, but it's not just to say that they don't understand why you're vaccinated. It's just that they don't have any system to check whether you're vaccinated or not.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Ofori. Before we try to wrap up here, we have a few comments. Alfred, do you want to do us a pleasure in reading some of those comments for us, starting with Ibrahim, Mohammed, talking about testing?
Absolutely. So Ibrahim is saying
the one before that. We haven't read the one before that.
Okay, right? So the one before that, Ibrahim says, talking about the testing, it is sad to know that the second largest teaching hospital in Ghana, Kufu Anache, has their laboratory staff on strike. However, who's going to do the testing in Ashanti region? So again, these are the problems, right? Fix the country, get these people what they need so that they are not on strike in the middle of a pandemic. So yes, I agree with you there, Mr. Ibrahim. Ibrahim again says, Alfred, if you be man, don't pay bribe and you go see, say, your parties go pay and leave you behind. And it's very true. So like I said in my presentation, it's like if you think you don't want to pay bribe, they look at you as abnormal. It's the normal thing. You want your money paid to you after you finish the contract. You definitely want to grease somebody's palm so that your voucher can move through the system. Otherwise, it's going to sit in somebody's desk and collect dust. So yes, I agree. But this is a culture we need to change starting from ourselves. And of course, we need a government to put stringent regulations and laws out there and be able to enforce them. The laws alone are not enough.
Yeah,
enough of it in our books, but we need to enforce them. Okay, so then lifestyle legacy against the Ghana people is tribalism. If not, how on earth would Nana Addo become president and still have people defending him? So, we wouldn't say necessarily because, Nana Addo has been voted for widely across the country. So we wouldn't say he was voted just because there was some type of entrenched tribalism in the country. So I disagree with that. I think he's legitimately elected by all of us. And then Akwesi B. Nimo, who's one of our presenters on Akko Radio, he says, more fire. So I don't know, Dr. Ofori, maybe you are the one spitting the fire today. We really appreciate all the contributions today. And then the last one quickly, and then we would bring the program to an end. Ibrahim Mohammed say, if the system is fixed, it automatically fixes its citizens, period. If there are dustbins close to people, or if you are charged for littering the environment, I doubt if people will continue to do that. So basically, you are right. I agree with that last piece. If we actually enforce the laws and say, hey, you throw dust anywhere you are. Remember when they used to have the town council? Somebody always reminds me of that, where there are, people charged with enforcing cleanliness in the environment, so that when you violate any of the rules or the regulations, then you get actually punished for it. If that is in place, then you should expect people to go by it. And then the last one here, he said again, is 1992 Constitution is a scam. Do you guys believe that it needs to be amended? Yes, of course, there's been so many different projects to do a constitutional amendment for several years. And so we hope this time around that it takes effect and the two parties and all the stakeholders can work together and deliver to us an amendment to the Constitution. It's about time that we do that. Even the Constitution itself really has so many mistakes in it. So maybe in trying to amend it, we can fix some of these mistakes. So that would be all the comments we have today. Back to you, Dr. Steve Day. I'm giving you Dr.
All right, thank you so much. Yes, today we have Dr. Ofori, so I guess we are all, leaning on his doctorate to do the show. We really appreciate Dr. Foy. And of course, I must say that we really, really appreciate all those of you who have had the opportunity to comment. We have almost close over 400 people that have joined us today. Really appreciate you joining us today and continue to watch out for the show. We have an announcement for you, though. We have a short announcement for you at the end of it, so don't go anywhere. So we thank you for your comments. So, Dr. Foy, once again, it's such a pleasure to have you on. You just light up the show and you can see the flow of comments and like your depth knowledge about this industry and what it entails, and people really appreciate you when you come on the show. So before we let you go, your final comments, please.
I think what I would say is that, I mean, this is a great platform. Stephen Afresh show, great. I thank everybody that tuned in to watch us, to talk about what is really going on in the COVID world. Make sure you protect yourself if you're not vaccinated. If you get opportunity to vaccinate, don't think about it twice, because you either get a immunity from the virus itself or you get it from the vaccine. I know the vaccine will protect you, the virus can kill you. So I always say that make sure that you take advantage of it. If you come to Illinois, there's so many places, Walgreens, CVS, you can easily walk in there or book an appointment and get your vaccine. So it's here, let's get it and get back to summer and enjoy life. So thank you all for listening to me.
All right, take it away, sir.
All right. What I just heard Dr. Ofori said is a very powerful word. He says the vaccine will protect you. The virus will kill you. So again, we couldn't ask for a better boss to work with. Dr. Ofori is actually our boss. He's the director of Ofori Radio. So just imagine, working with this gentleman and learning all this good stuff from him. And we're always happy bringing him back here each time and all the education he provides to us. So Dr. Ofori, thank you so much for coming and blessing us and our viewers with all the good information. Really appreciate it. Steve, over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. And as we indicated, unfortunately, this show is going to take a short break. We need to just debrief a little bit and come back, as Alfred would always say. We'll come back with more vim so that we can continue to bring you shows like this. So we're going to be taking a short break. So this is going to be our last program for after today. We're taking a short break, and we will be back. We wouldn't be gone for too long. And there might be some few other changes that we're working on as well, but we'll keep you posted. We really, really appreciate all of you joining us every single time when we are on air, not just Stephen Afresh show, Ghana Agenda, and all the other shows that comes on Echo Radio. We're talking about Power Sports and Titi Obika. Yeah, it's the program liner and Nokosam and what have you. And we really appreciate all of you supporting us throughout this. And so, Alfred, before I end though, do you have anything you want to say before I end the show, please?
I was just going to share this flyer with everybody and remind people again that Sienna is holding Surviving COVID-19 Health Summit on the 29th, which is the coming Saturday. So if you're available, the Zoom number to that is projected on your screen. Please join Sienna, join all of us. It will be hosted by myself and yourself, Steve, Honorable, and we're looking forward to have you all join us so we can continue this conversation. So what you heard today is just a scratch in the face of what we'll be discussing on that summit, and we would like for you to join us and bring all your questions just like you've done today. Thank you so much, Steve.
All right, thank you, Alfred, and once again, let me say thank you all for joining us. And as I always say, please take care of yourself and of each other. We'll be back after a short break. After a short break, it might take just about a few weeks or so, but we'll keep you posted. We also need to go enjoy the summer a little bit. It is getting nice out there. We need to, do some family stuff a little bit, and we'll be right back. But once again, really appreciate all of you, especially the over 380 people that join us today. We really appreciate all of you joining us. And but please go to our page, which is Stephen Afresh Show, or go to the Echo Radio, or go to any of our social medias and like our page, and so that you can also subscribe and follow us as well, so that anytime we are you get an instant notification, so that you can join us as we bring you very enriched programs week in, week out. So once again, thank you all for joining us. We hope that you can join us the next time we're back on air at the same time, same place, most likely. But we'll keep you posted. As always, take care of yourselves and of each other. I am yours truly, Steve, signing off from the Echo Studio here. Take care of yourself. Peace. We out.